Welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie. And today we are talking with Melissa Renee. So Melissa, how do you deal? Well, actually, sorry, we call her Renee, not Melissa. And I just always want to, when you have like the two names combined, I always want to do the first one and not the second one. But it's actually Renee. And we just talked about this 5 minutes earlier and I already screwed up. So how do you deal when shit gets real?
That was a perfect introduction. And I do the book that I'm publishing, I go into why I go by Renee, but I'll leave that up to those that read the book to understand that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot in that. So what do I deal with when shit gets real? I went through a divorce in 19 years. I had things going on that I didn't even know about. And I don't talk about it in the book. And I don't talk about the things my ex-husband did just to preserve his integrity. And so my story isn't an ex-husband bashing story. It's more of my healing. But I was very, very angry. This time last year, I was day one on my own of finding out a lot of harsh truths that was about my marriage. I was so angry when I was finding out all this stuff that I gave my life to my husband at the time. I screamed so much in this house, all his deceased ancestors and God. I was so angry.
Mm-hmm. Hey, my mom still holds that anger and they've been divorced for a while.
Yeah, a long time.
Like 10 plus years. And my mom is still like.
Yeah, it's so.
Oh, yeah.
It's so great embracing being angry. It feels good to scream and just get mad. It feels good. Mm-hmm. But I had to, some things I shared with you ladies earlier in my email is I've learned a lot of holistic modalities of being a Reiki master, an energy healer. I've given yoga to like field artillery soldiers in Washington. And when I went through this process, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this when I retire, I need to practice what I preach, or I'm just an imposter.
Yeah.
So I need to get real with myself. I need to do some shadow work, doing some soul searching, and really go through this process. Because they say the greatest healers are the ones that have healed themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that. For sure.
So do you believe yourself to be healed, or are you still a work in progress?
I feel like I'm healed, but you never know when a little trigger might come up.
Mm-hmm. and let's face it, we're all works in progress. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So tell us about, your active duty. So tell us all about your active duty and a lot of people, I'm familiar with what a warrant officer is, but a lot of people out there aren't. So also kind of give us that rundown.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a warrant officer. I came from the background of being enlisted, and enlisted are the ones that, get shit done. They're the ones out there training soldiers, mentoring, developing. And I was 25 Bravo. So basically I worked on computers. You had a user problem. I come and fix it. Mm-hmm. Well, one day I was asked to become a warrant officer, and warrant officers, in my opinion, are like the best rank in the Army, but I'm a little biased. So you can either be a pilot or you can be a subject matter expert and be a technician in your field. So you're getting paid for your expertise and your knowledge in the military, and you give advice to commanders and leadership, and you help mentor soldiers from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. So I'm still doing IT, but I'm doing it a little bit differently now. So I'm in year 19. I'll be retiring next year in October. I've been deployed a couple of times, and I really enjoy this time. And I've got exposed to holistic modalities because my ex-husband at the time did have a double spinal fusion and did have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I've seen, because he fell off the back of a truck in Iraq in 2003. And back then there wasn't a lot of medicine. There wasn't a lot of holistic options. So you had to suck it up and back pain. So I learned a lot. That's how I got exposed to Reiki and energy medicine. So I tell people my ex-husband was my greatest teacher because I learned all this stuff.
Yeah. Can you tell us what is Reiki medicine? Because I have no idea. So
no, that's a great question. So Reiki was refounded back in the 1800s in Japan. It was made by a man who, he rediscovered it back in the 1800s. And it's not religious. It's not an occult or anything like that. It is basically allowing universal energy to pour through you into your crown, into your head, through your body, and out your hands. And the practitioner just lays their hands above your body, or they touch you just very lightly. It should feel warm. It should feel very relaxing. And they just allow that energy to go through. So it can be a very calming experience.
So is it kind of like, or what it reminds me of is like chakras. When people talk about chakras, like it's like that same kind of like energy, process. It reminds me of it anyway. That's what my mind first connected to.
No, and that was perfect because when I'm giving somebody Reiki, it actually helps rebalance those chakras.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of together almost.
Yeah, kind of, because I'm allowing that energy to pour through me. And I might be like, if you have some childhood trauma, for example, I would be working maybe on your root chakra. Mm-hmm. The energy just pours in, helps heal, and helps that chakras to spin better.
And for those out there that don't know what chakra is, if you could just fill that in.
You want me to?
Yeah. Whoever. I mean, I know there's somebody listening. There's going to be somebody listening that's going to go, what is a chakra?
Yeah, and this is why I'm so passionate about this subject, is because I want to be out there, and I'll answer your question one second. I want to go out there and I want to normalize language for soldiers, especially soldiers and veterans, to let them know, hey, I've been in your boots. I've been in Iraq. I've been in Afghanistan. But let me teach you some holistic tools to empower you, where you don't have to always be on medicine, things that you can do at home, and help normalize that language. So chakras are energy systems that run through the body, down from the base chakra all the way up to the crown. And they're energy systems, and each one has a color associated with it. And when they're spinning the right way, and then when their color is very vibrant and their alignments, you're said to be healthy and whole. So like, for example, the root deals with people who have like childhood trauma, who have issues with things that maybe they were abused. It might not be spinning as fast. Or maybe they have issues with self-love and self-worth. You might want to work with the throat or communicating. So as you can see, I wear blue today. I wear blue on purpose because blue helps me is with the throat chakra. So it helps strengthen my ability to communicate here, because I'm not a natural extrovert.
Well, you're doing
a great job.
Yeah.
Jeez,
yeah. And I was also going to say, from what I've read about certain colors and things like that, blue is also supposed to be a very calming color. So
I hope you ladies are feeling calm and relaxed right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So do you have a favorite practice? Is it just Reiki in general, or do you have a favorite thing that you like to do?
That's a great question. So I did a 1-year training. It's called the Shamanic Academy I did, and it taught us universal practices. And what that basically means is people who can, that are clairvoyant, that can see or they can hear, stuff like that. And I did a 1-year journey, and I like doing things that are more in the flow. So if I was to work with one of you ladies, I would ask your permission to connect with you, and I would start doodling and I would start sketching. And when we would connect, I would show you your drawings. Say, look, this is what I'm being felt to talk to you about. This is what I'm being called to talk to you about today. Mm-hmm. And I guided imagery, meditation to get you very relaxed. And I play music that's very specific for your healing. Because there's medicine in the words, there's medicine in the vibration and in the music. And it's very a relaxing process. So I like that aspect more because it's more free flow, and I can kind of go off script, where Reiki is more scripted, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I love that. And I love that, like, you're just going to start doodling and let things come to you. Because as a fellow creative person, and Connie is a creative person too, like, that really speaks to me, because it's like when you write, you just let words flow. So it's the same type of flow that you're following.
Yeah, so everything that you might see on this wall here, this is all of my doodling that I've done over a year and a half.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, every day I would get up and I would doodle something. Like, this is an example. And I don't know all what it means, but I know it makes my mind clear and it makes me focus.
That's all that matters.
Every day I would get up and I would doodle. And this drawing in the back is the front cover of my book. It's a silhouette of a woman reaching towards the sky.
So was that something that you just randomly doodled and then it became the cover of your book?
I don't know if it was random. One day I went to Hobby Lobby last February. I bought these big panels, these big white panels, and I put it up in my kitchen. And I just started sketching because I loved art. I took an art therapy class. It was a chapter in my stress management book when I went to school. And it was an emotional purge. And the first thing I drew was a half of an eye. Now, why would somebody draw a half of an eye? Someone might ask. Well, I realized afterwards I was only seeing half the truths of my marriage. I wasn't seeing everything. I had blinders on because my love for this man was so great. I would never have thought that he would have done the things that I found out about him. So I did this huge emotional purge out. And then I was like, okay, now I want to draw a silhouette of a woman that represents where I am right now in my life. And I didn't really drink alcohol when I was doing these. This was the most meditative process of sketching this, because some people have a problem vocalizing and expressing themselves and verbalizing it. Mm-hmm. But when you sketch, it allows a part of the brain to dial down and another part to come online. In my non-medical
oh, for sure. But I have a couple of paintings in my house. That's exactly how I feel when I paint.
Yeah, but you can look at these paintings, you can feel the emotion. There's something very deep about it. And it really helped me really feel how I was feeling during this. I was very angry. I was very hurt. I was really pissed off. And then I got to this, well, who's this woman? You know, who am I? And I got this different version of this really deep woman that I was uncovering and finding out who she was.
Love that.
Awesome. So I have a question, and you can definitely refuse to answer. But what ended up happening to break up your marriage? If you don't mind me asking, if you don't feel like answering, that's totally okay.
Yeah. So the past couple years, my ex-husband was a disabled veteran. He was in the military and got out. And he just never got back on the wagon and back into working and all that. And that's his journey. But I found myself working every day, going home, seeing the home a mess, cleaning cat litter, cleaning the home up. I had soldiers, up to 10 soldiers. I was so burned out and I looked so depleted. I was the mothering role, the nurturer role, the enabler, the caretaker. There was no sexy Melissa Renee. It was the doing. And that's all I was doing in my life, because I did this marriage for better or worse, for sickness and health. This is what I signed up for. So I did a lot of this. And I never vocalized, but sometimes we take the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm. And you just kind of agree, even though you shouldn't.
Yeah. So I just dealt with it, and I was just dying inside. And my ex-husband and I got more and more distant. Mm-hmm. And it's really weird, but I got a reading from a friend. She's a psychic medium. And she told me, she's like, that he is hiding a very dark secret from you. Very dark secret. If you can get on his internet, if you can get on his internet searching browser, and you can get on there, you might find the truths. And I did. And I sat down in the chair and I saw a life of my ex-husband that I didn't know. It was like shattered glass. So,
oh my goodness,
it was a lot to process, because I gave everything. I was on working full time. I was giving. And so when this marriage dissolved and I found these truths, I was like, okay, enough is enough. I need to find out what my F yeses are and my F nos are, and stop existing in my life, because I was existing.
That's you were just getting stuff done. You were doing the to-do list.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people just exist. They don't actually live. So I like that you said that.
And that's why I have makeup on today. I have a nice blouse on, because last year I probably would have had my hair up in a bun and no makeup on. And I said, let's do this. There's nothing. But I was like, I need to start taking better care of myself. I need to start using words like a yummy life. What does a yummy life mean to me? What does it mean to be a sensual woman? I was like, you know what? I want a man that is sexy, sensual, salacious, sultry, and sovereign.
Woo!
Ooh, all the S words. Yeah.
No more settling, no more existing. This man will be yummy. I have not done any dating or anything because I told my friend Cindy, because she told me to get out there and start doing dating and all that. I was like, I am not going to waste my time on Jell-O when I desire tiramisu. I'm not going to waste.
Yum.
Yummy. So I really found out who I was as a woman, as a sensual woman, not as a caretaker and as a provider. And start, I only have so many years left. I need to start really embracing that. So I really found out what I was denying myself all these years.
So saying that, what is some advice that you would give to somebody who, whether they found out a secret or they're just getting divorced, or anything you could tell them that might help them get over that angry hump?
My friend once told me that I need to forgive my husband. I was like, forgive him? I was like, I just want to punch him in the throat. I was like, I'm feeling I feel very bitter and I feel very spiteful. And she's like, that's okay. Feel those emotions. But someday get to that place, and you don't need to forgive him in person, just releasing it. And I had people around me that allowed me and encouraged me to feel every single emotion and go through the process. Every night I came into this room as my prayer room. I sang, I danced, I meditated. I woke up every day and I said, thank you, God, that I have a safe home. Thank you. I have clean, I got heat. I got clean water. Thank you. Thank you for this. And that's that would be the first step. Because if we don't get to the point where we feel everything and we suppress stuff, it's not healthy. Mm-hmm. So I went through all this and I started feeling better. The art helped me metabolize my emotions. And I got in this place of gratitude. And then I got to the point where I started telling God in my meditation, I forgive my ex-husband. I kept saying, I forgive my ex-husband. And I eventually started believing it. Because when we forgive, it's like having your hands in this very tight grip and holding on to this anger. But when you let it go and you release it and you allow it to go back to creator, or whoever your source is, whoever you believe in, it allows that anger to be transmuted and allows you to make space in your life for something more beautiful and newer experiences. Yeah. And that's how I went through it. And now I tell everybody, my ex-husband, he was my greatest teacher. What he did to me, I'm grateful because it gave me a way out of the marriage because I was not happy.
Yeah. So did you ever, this is like totally, well, it's on the same line of your marriage. Did you guys ever think about like going to counseling, or was it automatically like, nope, we're done?
When the sequence of events happened last January, they were so horrible
that it was just like, no.
It was really, it makes me nauseous thinking about it. But in the past, when we did go to counseling, my ex-husband always said, well, you have communication problems. You have communication problems. But talking to my ex-husband when we were married, it was like talking to an attorney. It's like talking to a lawyer, just the way he presented himself.
Mm-hmm. So, and always questioning, like if you ask him a question, he gives you a question back, that kind of thing. Ugh.
And just going down to like deep rabbit holes. And I guess I started stuttering. I started like not being able to articulate myself well, because it was almost intimidating. Mm-hmm. And just finding the words. And we were just a vibrational mismatch. But I know now what I'm looking for.
Well, there you go. I mean, at least that's something to get from it. At least now you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been an amazing process, and just being able to, I think forgiveness is one of the hardest things, like you were talking about.
It really is. Because I think that's literally why my mom still gets angry at my dad, is because she hasn't and probably will never forgive him. Also because she still loves him, and in her mind, this is his fault. We could have worked it out, but he didn't want to. And so it's hard for her to just like let it go. She says she's let it go, but don't let it fool you.
Yeah, it's really difficult, but we all have our parts to play. We all attract relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to let that go. If you don't let it go, then you attract the same kind of lover.
She did. I'm sorry. That's why I had to laugh at that. Okay, sorry. Anyway, continue.
Reference, because I will not attract the same kind of lover. Oh heck no. 19 years of marriage and to attract the same kind of man come in my life. Oh no.
She literally married the same person. Actually, a worse version of the same person. If you can believe that. Sorry.
No.
Like, that's just too funny that you would say that, you know?
It's just true. It shows that you are what you put out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I went through this whole process, and in May or June, I took my laptop to work and I just started typing. I started typing so fast. And I was like, maybe I can write a book.
I love it.
And I met a book coach on Clubhouse. This app is for networking. And he always said, if you're going to write anything, tell your story, because get people to connect to you first, understand who you are, what you are about before you start writing about other things. And the words just started pouring from me. I was like, I think I might have something. So I talk about, my book is Facets of Love, and I called it a guide for every lost woman desperate for a life of full, authentic embodiment.
I love it.
I'm getting a copy for your mom, Connie.
Oh my God. If only she had time to read.
It's a short read, and I call it Facets of Love because those are the facets of how I went through my healing. I talk a lot about using art for therapy, for healing, dance and creative expression. And I go into a deep dive on intimacy and sensuality and how to really find out like what I was craving. Like the example I use in the book was I found out what my intimacy superfoods were and my intimacy poisons were.
Ooh.
Like it.
Okay. What were they? Or like, give us like an example of one or the other. Come
on. Mothering, addictions, dishonesty, going through the routines. And then the superfoods was just like, he keeps me on my toes, was just very, a passionate lover. I forget the rest of them, but somebody who keeps me stimulated mentally,
You know what's hilarious though? This whole time I thought you actually meant food. So I was like, ooh, what kind of food? So for me, that could be a thing, like for you, because like there are foods that are not good and foods that are,
This is good because me having a hard time expressing myself. I did in the book. If you read it, a butler brings me dinner service and shows me what it is of my intimate relationship with my ex-husband, and it's bland and it's watered down. And then the next dinner service is what I was craving. And this dinner service has all this texture, spices, aromas, purple edible flowers, wine, a tiramisu. So somebody might like, well, what does tiramisu have to do with food?
It's delicious.
What does it have to do with intimacy? Well, you think about it. The brandy, the espresso, the sugar, the sweetness, someone who's got fire, passion, sweetness, texture, contrast. So if you can get into foods, you can easily relate it into, well, that's really what I'm craving. I really want somebody who's sweet and fire him.
Yeah, who's silky smooth like tiramisu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and those Italians, passionate. Of course they made tiramisu.
Yeah. So it's really good for people who don't have the language, but maybe if you can figure out what your food is, if you can go into meditation and imagine a butler coming to you, maybe you can get something from that.
I was definitely, though, expecting like a list of mac and cheese. But I love it. Like, I love both versions, but in my head, like, that's what I was expecting. And I think it's kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I can see how it's more of like a visual. The food is more of a visual thing. Like, I get it now, But before, I guess I'm just hungry. I was like, yeah, give me some mac and cheese, some scallops. I don't know.
Everybody loves food.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And if they say they don't like food, then they're full of
They're
poop.
lying.
So one thing that I love that you mentioned in your pre-interview is about a spiritual presence. I've always loved like spiritual stories and hearing people how they were spiritually guided. Just wanted to get more of like what you meant by your spiritual presence and how it guides you.
Yeah. So like I said, this room, I have prayed and danced and done everything in this room. I got raised Roman Catholic, but I came into my own spiritual development. I've gone to sweat lodges and like more of a Native American practices.
I love it.
People that come in this room, they feel calm because it's where I've done all my healing. I believe that I have a divine team. We all have divine teams that work with us, that are on our side, on the other side of the veil, rooting us on. We have ancestors. Or we have ancestors that want us to do better than what they did.
Yeah.
They want us to succeed and they want us to thrive, and they don't want us to be in pain and hurting. So I do pray to God, and I do believe in Jesus, and I believe in the messengers, but I believe I have a team working with us, with me, helping me. My spiritual practices, I am a clairvoyant. So when I do energy healing, I have things that come up in imagery. Maybe I get an image of you trying to jam a key into a keyhole. Well, whatever path you're trying to open up is not your path. You can't open it. I really, it's just through the meditation and through the gratitude. And I really pick a lot of spiritual music to help me dance and metabolize my emotions. I come in and I have my shell right here, and it has sage in here and Palo Santo, which is a wood. And I will sage people in. And I'll burn sage, and I'll sage. So the sage goes through, the smoke goes through here, and it clears the space. It clears the energy. So when I'm doing my coaching calls with clients, I sometimes will sage us in to kind of clear the space and set the tone. And I have other like sandalwood and cedar wood and all that. It's just having this practice has really helped me. And I know it sounds like woo to people, but it's so important to find out what works for us so we keep doing it. And I know everything has come through from my divine team and God for me to see and open up my eyes to see what was going on in my marriage. I know because I turned down a job I was supposed to go to DC and not come to Indiana. And I turned down a very prestigious job, and I stayed here for my heart. And I know my team and God helped me so I could heal myself, heal my marriage. So I don't know if that really directly answered your question.
No, it did. I liked it. I like that you went into more of like an explanation of not just that, but like everything in general.
It's a broad question.
It is a broad question, and it could be answered so many ways. So there's no wrong answer, especially like you said, it's your journey.
With your exposure to combat, how did you deal with it, and what advice can you offer to others, like especially like PTSD? Did you struggle with it? Can you help people struggling with PTSD?
So I was very fortunate. If I have PTSD, I don't recognize it, or it hasn't come up as something that I'm struggling with. So I have been we have gotten incoming on both my locations that I was at. But when I was deployed in Iraq, I actually had the opportunity to teach yoga at the local gym there, teach what I know.
Oh, awesome.
I had a boss that really supported that and was really big on that. So I had a great leadership there, and I read books that were very spiritual that really helped me out. So I was very, very fortunate to come back with nothing injured and mentally nothing going on. But I see a lot of people wanting to suppress their experiences, suppress their journey, numb themselves to gaming, alcohol, and just everybody admits that they have the problem, but the healing doesn't always happen. So that's why I'm such a big advocate of advocating me being in the military, and then also advocating these healing services, because these are things that you can do in private. Allow yourself to feel these experiences. I had to go to therapy when I first got a divorce, and she opened my eyes to art therapy in a clinical setting, which is a little bit different. And I would highly recommend those suffering from PTSD to explore art therapy in a clinical setting because they can hold space differently than would you do on your own. So there's just so much that they can do to help themselves. Suppressing it and filing it back in the filing cabinet of our brain is not healthy. And there's so many non-for-profit organizations wanting to help soldiers, and a lot of people that have gotten out of the military that do a lot of holistic stuff like I do that really want to help. Have a heart open and want to learn and be a little vulnerable.
You know what? I have to say, I never really pictured the military being okay with you teaching yoga or like any of like that holistic medicine. So it's actually really great to hear you talking about how like supportive they were of that. Because I have to say, when you hear about the when you hear about the military normally, it is definitely not about holistic medicine.
They have gotten a lot better. So I was stationed up at Fort Drum, New York, and their pain management clinic actually had yoga there for the
Love it.
The pain management had more serious injuries and going over mindfulness meditation. So the military is getting there. It's just slowly evolved. And depending on what VA hospital you go to, like the VA hospital in Tennessee is amazing. They have all this stuff. So it just depends on where you go.
And I think it also depends on like what you are looking for. Cause like some people just aren't looking for that. They want that quick pain relieving. They want that pill that's just going to fix it, or that surgery that'll just fix it. And that's not really how it works a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yes, because a lot of this stuff that I do, I mean, I even studied herbal medicine. It's all a practice. It's all a routine. It's not a quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like that you talked about the importance of therapy, because Connie and I have both talked about it on several different episodes with several different guests of how important therapy is. There's no shame in therapy. Everybody could benefit from it. And I just like that you are another person that's advocating therapy, especially for our soldiers and our military.
Yeah, and I got it paid for by the insurance. First time I got denied because of the kind of therapist I wanted, and then it got approved. And a quick little story, when I went there at the end of the session, she asked me to draw a bird's nest. Okay, she's like, pick whatever paper you want. So I pick up a pale green paper and I draw these twigs, and the bottom is a little red and a little yellow. She's like, well, tell me about your bird's nest. Why? Tell me about your colors. I was like, oh my gosh, the bird's nest is my home. She's like, yeah. Why red and yellow? I was like, oh my God, my home is on fire. And I was answering these questions. She's like, well, I noticed there's no little birds in your bird's nest. I was like, oh my God, I'm alone too. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, and you didn't put your bird's nest in a tree.
Just hanging out there in the sky.
My home is on fire. I am alone. And I have no support. That took an art therapist, somebody at a clinical level, to really pull that thread on me.
Now I want to ask all my friends to draw bird's nests.
I know, right? Also not so, yeah, I would have rolled my eyes too. I would have been like, fine, a bird's nest, like whatever. I wouldn't have even like thought about it that deeply like you guys went through.
Yeah. All right, listeners, draw bird's nests. We want to hear about them.
Let us know.
You don't know what's in the psyche. And so that creative expression comes out.
Yeah.
Well, I hope your bird's nest isn't on fire anymore.
I had a meditation months later, and I saw a bird's nest, and I saw 2 golden eggs in there. So
Ooh.
Partner right now, but I know that's the future. It gave me hope that things are going really well. So
yeah. Well, and healing yourself first before going to find another partner will definitely serve you well, because I think that's also where my mom went wrong. Guys, don't tell anybody that I told anybody this. But like, I don't feel like she fully really healed at all and then jumped into a long-term relationship. And even now she said, I should have stayed single. I'm like, and we all told you that. Mm-hmm. So,
Well, and I think that also stems from a a fear of being alone. You know, not a lot of people are comfortable being alone. So,
and after 20 years of marriage, of course, almost 25, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And people just want companionship and they want to, relationship.
And they were high school sweethearts, so she was never not with my dad.
Yeah.
It makes it harder. Mm-hmm. It's also funny that you talked about a bird's nest, because one of our like funner questions for you was, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
And why? If you could have a why. If you don't have a why, I'll just accept whatever tree.
I'm just like, okay. I went to the oak tree because I have weathered the storm. People have told me that I've healed very fast. And I know it's because of God and my practice and doing the shadow work, doing the work. And the oak trees can weather a storm. They're very strong, very rooted trees. So
I like it.
Love it.
It's a good tree.
Yeah, I think so. Good question.
We like to throw a fun one in.
And because we knew that you were going to be spiritual, we're like, she will like our tree question. And then we started talking about bird's nest, and it was all meant to be.
Clearly.
Yeah, my bird's nest is now supported. Lots of support now.
Yeah, now you have an oak tree to put the bird's nest on. So you're all good now.
I have to add one more comment, since we're talking about the military. When I went through this process, I am in an active duty unit on a National Guard post, and there's not a lot of female soldiers. And one of the higher ranking female officers had me go to, they have family readiness groups, the FRG, where a lot of the military spouses go to dinner and all that. And she invited me to all of them. And those spouses took me in as one of their own. They didn't ask me any questions about, why are you here? You're a soldier. They took me in, invited me to all the stuff. And the chaplain was great. The leadership was great. I was at the right unit for what I was processing. Because when I went to work, I couldn't even figure out, like, fill up printer paper or troubleshoot a printer. I had so much stuff in my head, I couldn't take on even the most basic task. And I had leadership that allowed me. So that was really, really great to have here.
You're in the right spot at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot sometimes. All right. Any other comments, Renee, or questions, Rihanna?
Or anything you want to leave our listeners with as any final piece of advice? Or how about even, let's finish with this. And then if you want to add anything, of course you can. If anybody wants to get in touch with you to practice with you or hire you, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay. So I am currently on Instagram. So it's Renee_carving authenticity.
Oh, I like it.
Because of my life. And I currently am studying to be a health and wellness coach. I got training at the VA hospital in Tennessee. And for me to sit for the board in May, I have to do coaching sessions. So now is the perfect time if anybody wants to work with me to get free sessions with me so I can sit for the board. And then I also do the energy healing and the Reiki and all that as well. But that's the best way of getting a hold of me.
Awesome.
I know. Instagram's definitely the easiest way to get hold of me too, because I hate everything else. Instagram is like the friendlier one. Like I don't know. That's just my point of view, and that's fine.
Yeah. And then my book it's an ebook right now. It's on pre-order, and it's only 99 cents until June. And then this summer I will turn it into a workbook. So allowing people to go down those rabbit holes of journaling, sketching, maybe drawing out their dinner service further.
Oh, I love it.
And it's, so 99 cents pre-order, and then 1 June it'll be available for download.
That's awesome. That sounds really great. I love the workbook idea. It's great.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get me one.
So this is how to deal when shit gets real. Thank you, Renee, for joining us. And we will see everybody bi-weekly now on Fridays. Listen up for your next episode, and we'll see y'all later.